So let me introduce my dear friend. She's like my soul sister. We got introduced some time ago, and then I got an opportunity to visit their fascinating home. Basically, their home is on a rock in Los Angeles, and it's fascinating. It steps into nature. It's not a like tiny rock. It's a giant kind of a mountain type rock, and then you just walk through that rock to like there are rock steps, and you walk through that and you feel like they don't have lashes on the door. Doors are always open, and then it's a different world. Like me and my children, my wife, we went and visited them, and it was a fascinating space of creativity, a fascinating space of a lot of openness. And then so before I started helping people in a global level, Kelly and Dana are the people who saw me in a different light, and they're like, oh my gosh, you should do this and you should do that. And then we always have this amazing childlike conversation. You all told me that the important thing is to be like infants. Like she's an intelligent, wise woman who's like an infant, and you would see that in her conversation too. So and she has written like 8 books, 9 books. Those are all really important, and she's famous, and she has been on like many shows, Dr. Oz and so many other major shows. And she's humble enough to come here and teach us too. And she's going to write another book, and you're going to get an early preview into some of the things that she's going to write in that book. And with that, let me introduce my dear friend, my soul sister, Kelly Sullivan Walden.
Wow. I just want to bask in that for about an hour, but on a parallel plane, I'll just get right to it. But Ruble, thank you so much for bringing me on. It's such an honor to be in your community and be with you. And I have so much respect for you, and I do see you. I've seen you from the beginning, and you are truly manifesting your greatness. And it's a beauty to behold. Okay, so I'm going to talk to you about dreamifesting. As a dream expert for the last 20 some years, as Ruble said, I've written a lot of books, 10 altogether. I'm writing my 11th, and I've got 3 oracle decks. So I'm pretty passionate about dreams, and it's not really just dreams that I'm so passionate about. It's more about what our dreaming mind can do for us. I consider myself a practical mystic. I like to live in that sweet spot between the airy-fairy and the nitty-gritty. So I call myself a nitty-fairy or a airy-gritty, that place in the middle. I take people on sacred journeys every year to Teotihuacan, Mexico. And if you're familiar with Don Miguel Ruiz, who wrote the 4 Agreements, you've probably heard of Teotihuacan. And one of the things that I learned from the Toltec work that I've done is this distinction called there's the Nawal and there's the Tonal. Anybody here familiar with those terms? Just raise your hand or shimmy. Okay, so I'll tell you really quick. The Tonal is basically what we would call the conscious mind. It's everything that is visible, tangible, logical. It's what most of us, not you guys, but most people in the world think is life, and that's all there is. That's one of the reasons why when someone passes away, there can be such long-term suffering, because we don't have a relationship to what's beyond what's tangible. So the tonal is everything that's tangible, and we honor that. That's part of the human experience. The Nawal, N-A-G-U-A-L, or some spell it N-A-H-U-A-L, is considered everything that is the opposite of the tonal. It's everything that is intangible. It's everything that is inaudible, unknown, unknowable. It's the mystery. It is infinity. And so there are people that consider themselves to be Nawals, meaning shamans, people that bridge the gap between the unseen and the seen. And the perspective is, and this is one thing I love, is that if you can just at least on a daily basis give a nod to the Nawal, to what is unknown, to the mystery, then, and you can start to develop a healthy relationship with that, then you can become exponentially more effective and powerful in the tonal. But if you only live in the tonal, you might show results, but eventually they have diminishing returns, and eventually you end up with nothing. But if you can have some Nawal, then it's like you can then also have the tonal and have it all, so to speak. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the Nawal first. This is part of the Dreamifesting formula, and it's going to connect with the tangible. So let's start with, first I want you to, I'm sure you all already have a goal in mind, the reason that you're part of this group with Ruble. So for a moment, I want you to get tonal about it. I want you to think about something tangible that you are striving for. I'm sure because of this group, this is going to be some form of a business goal, some kind of way that you want to impact your customers, your clients, some way that you want to have them be enriched by you and have so much value. But think about this in terms of a goal for you, something that you will receive as a result of your work. Let's talk about the Dreamifesting formula. So this is something that I have been cultivating for the past 20 years since I've been in private practice. I'm a certified clinical hypnotherapist, and I became a dream expert quite by accident. I've been a fan of dreams since I was a little girl and always knew the value of them. I had a tandem dreaming partner in my little sister who I shared dreams with as a kid, and that gave me an extra inspiration about dreams and extra value for them. And I think all kids are big dreamers because our consciousness, we have thin walls, as we could say. But I had a partner in dreaming, which gave me an extra boost, I would say. And then in my 20s, I pursued Hollywood acting, and I did all kinds of things. I worked with Clint Eastwood, and I had a spot on ER and did a bunch of different things in the Hollywood world. But it basically, if I can cuss here, sorry, Ruble, bleep me, it kicked my ass. At one point, I became so externally oriented that I literally felt that I thought I would take my life. I thought I didn't want to be on the planet anymore. I felt so empty and broken. At that point, I went on this journey to figure out how to stay on the planet. So that basically thrust me on my hero's journey to learn about all kinds of different spiritual modalities, 12-step programs, healing, and that took me back into my dreaming, except I had a lot of nightmares at that time. So I learned how to transform scary dreams, nightmares, into fuel for awakening. Anyway, that got me back into dreaming. And then when I became a certified clinical hypnotherapist, dreams became an intrinsic part of the work that I started to do and that I've been doing over these last 20 years. And since the beginning, practical people have always asked me in one way, shape, or form, what's the practical value of dreams? Almost as if talking about dreams is an insult to their intelligence, because people are busy. They have families. They're trying to provide. It's almost like dreams seem like the luxury, a dubious luxury of someone who just wants to eat bonbons all day. But what I've learned is that it's not a dubious luxury. It's not. If we were really to maximize our potential and really fulfill our reason for being alive, we would be paying attention to our dreams every day. Some of the great inventors of our time, Thomas Edison and even Thomas Jefferson, founding father of America, paid attention to dreams every day. The theory of relativity, Einstein attributed to dreams. Our clothes, we're all wearing clothes right now. Elias Howe, back at the turn of the century, when he discovered the sewing needle, and were it not for a dream, we might all be naked right now. And Thomas Edison invented the light bulb, and that came to him through a dream. So we would be naked in the dark with no internet were it not for dreams. So if there's not a practical value on dreams, I don't know. I would beg to differ. Also, science, for those who know anyone with diabetes, insulin was discovered through Frederick Banting in a dream. So there's so many practical solutions. And okay, a client of mine years ago in a workshop, a gentleman of mine who had been, this was back in 2008 when the real estate market had collapsed. He had been in the real estate market and was fumbling for what he was going to do for a living. He had a dream about strange cell phone towers covered in trees. When he woke up, he was so compelled by this, he scribbled down images of what he saw. He ended up patenting his design and making millions of dollars. So if you drive through an urban area and have ever seen those fake trees that cover up unsightly cell phone towers, that's my client. So your dreams can give you your next great insight, your next great aha about how you can contribute to your clients and make your mark. Okay, so how can we use them on a regular basis? How do we dreamifest? How do we manifest the life of our dreams, leaning on our dreams to do the heavy lifting for us? I'll just say this little sidebar. I'm not a lazy person per se. Although when I was young, I was called lazy by my mom, by my dad, by my teachers, because there was some part of me that thought, if there's an easier way to get from here to there, I'm not ashamed to say I'd like to find that way. I've often thought one of the books I'll write is The Lazy Girl's Guide to Manifesting. In a way, this dreamifesting book that I'm working on is kind of that. It's a way to be able to lean on your dreams to help you manifest more efficiently, more effectively, actually leaning on your dreaming mind, which is accessible 24 hours a day, 365. If we leaned on that a little bit more, we wouldn't have to push so hard. We wouldn't have to work by the sweat of our brow. We'd have a bit more grace, maybe a lot more grace and a lot more effectiveness. So here we go. Here's the dreamifesting formula. I use the word dances. Did you all see the movie Dances with Wolves way back when? If not, I highly recommend it. So, and I used to dance. I still do dance sometimes, but dancing to me is kind of a metaphor for how best to live our lives, as if we're dancing with the universe, but the universe is leading the dance, and our job is to become excellent dance partners. So that's the energy of dreamifesting. So dances is an acronym, and I'll go through each of the letters, and you can use this as a meditation, as a checklist to look at every day to give yourself a boost about how to access your dreaming mind and plug it in to your waking life and your conscious tonal life. Are you ready? Ready to hear the formula? Okay, here we go. The D stands for drop it like it's hot. So this is, imagine that if you're ever feeling stressed, here's when to use this. When you're feeling stressed, or when you're about to go to sleep and you want to get a good night's sleep, but you're churning and you're thinking about the day, imagine that you could drop it like it's hot. And there's a movement that goes with it, and it's like this. So let yourself, so if you can turn off your video so no one has to see you be silly, but literally give yourself a shake it. Imagine that you're Beyonce and you're shaking it like it's hot. You're dropping it like it's hot. Drop, drop, drop. You're dropping your attachment to everything and anything that you have used to define yourself. Similar to what I was saying in the prayer meditation at the beginning. Just at least have a moment to say, wow, I'm really not this. I am more than this. I have my job. I have my career, but I'm not that. I am more than that. When I was in my healing phase, I still am. I'm always going to be healing and growing. But really, when I was in my early 20s, when I started therapy and started getting on this path, I heard somebody say, this was during a time when I was really feeling pretty broken, still having all these nightmares. And someone said to me once that there's a part of you that has never been hurt, harmed, or endangered. There's a part of you that has never been hurt, harmed, or endangered. And that flipped a switch in my mind, and it gave me this momentary paradigm shift that I've been able to access since then, that took me out of my struggle and my stress and my trying to get there, trying to prove myself. It took the chip off my shoulder and reminded me, oh yeah, there's a part of me at the center of me that is whole and complete. And that part is the true me. And if I access that, then there's some healing ripples that start to move out, and not just healing as if there was something to fix, but even just a more lucid way of living. So drop it like it's hot, drop the story, drop the attachment. Okay, that's the D. The A is for awe, AWE. So I'm sure you've heard of the term, of the phrase, that which appreciates, appreciates. That which you appreciate, appreciates. Have you heard that? That attitude of gratitude that tends to bring more energy to you, or more circumstances to you, to give you more to appreciate. So there is a movement that goes with each of these, if you don't think it's way too silly. But awe looks like this, with your arms up. And you can't see my arms all the way, but just like you're looking up at the heavens, like, oh yeah, like you've just climbed Mount Kilimanjaro and you're there. It's like, I did it. Oh my God. So every day you can have a moment of awe. I know that Ruble teaches about the celebration meditation, that it's like every day is a moment to be in awe. So this is taking appreciation up 10 notches. So this is kind of radical gratitude. This isn't ordinary. I'm grateful for my life. I'm grateful for my kids. I'm grateful for it's like, no. This isn't the by rote gratitude. This is extreme gratitude. This is awe. And you might have to fake it till you make it, because on an ordinary day, you don't necessarily feel in awe of your finances or the impact that you're having in your business. But if you really stop to think about it, I've always watched the movie It's a Wonderful Life around Christmas time. You seen that movie with Jimmy Stewart? Another movie. I use a lot of movie metaphors, but he complained and complained about his life not being what he thought it was going to be, thinking it was something, thinking that if he threw himself off a bridge, it would be no big deal, until all of a sudden he got his wish come true. All right, you were never born. You're not here. And suddenly he could see his life from the perspective of him not being in it. And that gave him this perspective of, wait a minute. I want my life. I want my life even in its broken places, even in the things that don't quite work, even in the dysfunction. I want it. I want my life so bad. So he had to fight to get it back. So I'm talking about that paradigm shift. When I take people to Teotihuacan, Mexico, it's part of what we access there, that like, that awe, that you see yourself, your blood flowing, your ability to dream, your ability to access technology, your ability to hang out with Ruble, your ability to be with each other. There's just so much to be in awe about. So that is like a switch that flips you into this. We could say the words, the law of attraction. It definitely puts you in a more attractive state of being to have yourself line up with the right people, places, and circumstances for your business, of course, and all other aspects of your life. Okay, got the A? Ready for the N? The N is for Nexus. Nexus. I love this word. Nexus is a fancy, special, poetic word for the sweet spot. It's the place where heaven and earth come together. It's where the tonal and the know-all intersect. If you've ever been to Rome or seen the painting, Michelangelo's painting of the birth of Adam, the picture where God is touching fingers with Adam, except they don't ever quite touch. There's like lightning bolts that go in between the fingers, if you see that. So this is that place where you remember, regardless of whatever your spiritual path is, your religion. All religions basically point toward that relationship with something higher, regardless of what you call it. So the movement that goes with this is, I wish you could see me, but my arms are just straight out, kind of like the Vitruvian Man, or this is the Leonardo da Vinci. You're like that intersection of heaven and earth. So just putting your arms straight out, maybe even stand there proudly, like here I am. So you're the intersection of what's above and below. It's right where you are. So just as I was saying about the Nawal and the Tonal, you can have it all, but it starts with, and this is my experience from 20 years of working with clients and my own personal experience in business. If I'm only focused on my business, on the tangible, practical things, without a larger context for why I'm doing it, who I want to serve, what my mission in life is, then I will just become a stressed out person that really doesn't get anywhere. But if I have that access to that, which is higher and bigger, even if it's just my big why, then I do the practical things. That is the sweet spot. That's the nexus. Okay. Are we doing on time? I think we're doing okay. All right. So DAN. So this is dances. Let's go to the C. This one's a little bit more abstract. This maybe it won't sound so abstract. It might sound like the most practical one of all. This one, the C is for coat. I'll tell you why. Coat. I once upon a time, years ago, had a dream about this magical coat. So now we're going to start to think about our dreams. I had this dream that there was this beautifully colored coat and it fit me like a T. And when I put it on, I literally felt so empowered. I felt like everything I wanted in my dream, it appeared. Everything that had been not working was resolved. It's like it was this power coat that I put on, and I loved it. And then I realized when I woke up and was drawing this, I realized, wow, there's that. I don't mean to sound biblical because I'm really not a Bible thumper, but there's a story about Joseph and the multicolored coat from the Bible. And Joseph was the dreamer in the Bible and had dreams that he interpreted for Pharaoh, and they saved his life and had him inherit the earth. And even though he had been mistreated by his brothers, and everyone was jealous of him, there was something about this coat that his father gave him that was this special access to kind of not being in this world, but being in this world, but not of it. What I want you to do is now, near the beginning, I asked you to write down your goal, the dream that you're working on manifesting in your life. So take a look at that, or you probably already know what that is, but I want you to just close your eyes for a moment. And I want you to imagine that dream for this moment, it's come true. It's real. I want you to imagine that you are in the reality of this dream come true. So just pick a scene that would likely happen if this was coming true. Where would you be? Who might you be with? What might you be doing? Take a snapshot in your mind. Feel the incredible energy of what that would be like to be contributing to people in such a profound way, doing the thing that you're uniquely coded to be doing, and having the results, the physical manifestation of this. So take a deep breath, and I want you to take the energy of it as if you're scooping it up. And I want you to imagine that you're wearing it now. You're wearing it like a coat. You've been dripped in it, drenched in it. It's filling up your atoms, your molecules. Your DNA is being altered inside and out. You're comfortable. It's as if you've spent a long time, 10 years, already in the reality of this particular dream come true. It's no longer a big deal. It's ordinary. It's like the skin you wear. It's something that you wear like a coat. It's effortless. Now with that, with coat, I want you to also, this might be a stretch for some of you if you don't automatically have a dream that you've had in the past, now I'm talking about the kind of dream that you have when you go to sleep, but some of you may have in the past had a dream that was incredible, where you were flying, maybe where you were communing with an angel or receiving, maybe you won the lottery. And if you haven't had one of those dreams, then stay with the dream of your waking life coming true. I hope that's making sense. But for those of you who have had a dream, like I had the dream about that coat, I've also had a dream of swimming with dolphins. I've had a dream of flying, and pick one special out of this world dream, nighttime dream, and imagine that. And now put that on you as well. Coat yourself in the essence of your dreaming mind. The movement is the coat. So your hands literally, like you're wrapping yourself in it. It's not out in front of you. You're not chasing it. It's on you. You're wrapped in it. You're ensconced in your dream come true. Take a deep breath and just feel how wonderful that is to just let that be. Let it just be on you. Let it touch your skin. Let it touch your hair. Let it be inside you. One more big deep breath. Excellent. Okay. So now this brings us to the E in dances. This is for elevate. Now this is about taking that feeling tone of your dream come true, and I mean it in both senses of the words, your dream for your life as well as your nighttime dream that is so special. And I want you to imagine that you're plugging in to the elevation, energy elevation station. You're plugging in and you're amplifying, you're accelerating. I'm with Ruble here, so we have to use the word accelerate. You're turning up the dial of that wonderful energy. Imagine that you're turning it up. You're elevating that powerful energy. And just take a deep breath and become comfortable with this elevated energy. Not so much that it blows your circuits. We don't want you kind of passing out. But imagine that you have your hand on the dial and you can elevate your consciousness. You can elevate that electricity around you, turn it up. The law of attraction is about, the game is about how high can you vibrate without blowing your senses? How much can you stabilize? Can you stabilize a high vibration? Can you turn a peak moment into a plateau? Can you turn that feeling of incredible acceleration, amplification into ordinary for you? Can that become the new set point for you? Marcy Shimoff, in her book, Happy for No Reason, talks about practical steps that you can take to up-level your happiness set point. So we all have an ordinary set point of where our vibration is on a regular basis. So we're talking right now about elevating it slightly, getting comfortable there, and then elevating it a little bit more. And then that's your practice. Just when you get comfortable at that really high place, then you want to keep grounded. You don't want to get manic about it, and then you end up crashing. You want to stabilize, keep grounding yourself as you accelerate and elevate. So the movement for that looks like this. It could look like the dial, but I also tend to go like this shimmery jazz hands. It's kind of a Fosse, all that jazz. Accelerating, elevating the energy. Okay. So now we come to the S. So now that you are brimming with this energy, we could say that you've been coated in, like I picture that I'm picking you up and dipping you in the energy of your highest vibration, of your dream come true. You've been coated in it. You've been simmering in it. You've been swimming in the Nawal. All of this that we've talked about has been energetic. Not a drop of it yet has been tangible has been the tonal yet, but I think you're now ready to get into the practical reality. So the S is for suit up, show up, and seek the synchronicities. So this is where you suit up and show up, meaning that whatever your next phone call is after this, your next Zoom call, your next appointment, whatever it is that is in front of you to do, show up. That's like 90% of success is just getting there, showing up. But then when you're there, look for the synchronicities. So what do I mean by synchronicities? I'm sure you all have some kind of orientation to synchronicities. I'll tell you mine. Years ago, I met Felix Wolf, who was an apprentice of the late Carlos Castaneda. Carlos Castaneda, for those of you who might be unfamiliar, he basically is responsible for bringing shamanism to the Western world. In the 70s, he was on the cover of Time magazine as the first shaman that had ever been on the cover of Time magazine, given credit for bringing in Mexican mysticism to the Western world, and he's known as an enigma. Very there's like one photograph of him that's ever been seen. Anyway, my friend Felix Wolf studied, traveled with him, and he said of all the many, many, many things that he learned that were life-changing, shape-shifting, transformational, and related to manifesting that he learned from Carlos Castaneda. The one thing that he ended up writing his own book about, that Felix wrote his own book about, was called The Art of Navigation. And this is the practice by which you imagine that you're dancing with the universe, just like this formula dances, except the universe is leading the dance. You're not leading. The universe is letting you know when to turn right, when to turn left, when to dip, when to flip, when to pick up the phone, when to hang up the phone, when to book your ticket, when to do. It's like you are in the dance. You are in the flow with the universe. And when you do that, synchronicities are a sign that you are there, meaning that the right people at the right time in the right place show up. And there's a relative grace and ease to it. Felix said that when he was really at the peak with Carlos Castaneda, synchronicities were not just every once in a while phenomena. It was a moment to moment to moment phenomenon. It was something that it was strange when the synchronicities didn't happen, when he would think of something and a person and they didn't call or didn't show up. So it's like magic. He said this was living in the art of navigation. When you look for the synchronicities and you honor them, you acknowledge them and you follow them and you pay attention to them. It's really about living in the 2.0 or maybe 3.0 or 10.0 of what we're humanly capable of. So we don't have to work so hard. We don't have to stress out. We can be of maximum effectiveness in our businesses, with our families, in our lives, contribute to people in a way that actually has us enjoying, what a concept, every moment of our lives, and how in our lives in that moment can be a sweet, sweet dream. So